Hello everyone. Long time no see. Welcome to an unusual Saturday stream. As this is now the sort of pre-party for the Artist Back Alley raid train that's currently going over on Smashed Heads art stream. They'll be coming over in about half an hour. And we're going to be doing some photography stuff. This is my art stream. I'll be on for the next hour and a half. The train's going to get here in half an hour, and then I'll be on for the hour from 7 p.m. Eastern to 8 p.m. Eastern. So welcome on in. Welcome to the pre-stage here. Glad you are here with me. Hopefully you're all doing very well, staying healthy, staying safe here in the year of our COVID. So just gonna dive right in with just some stuff here. What you're seeing here is an image that I took at a cemetery that is off the beaten path. This is in Provincetown, Massachusetts. And it's called it's doesn't really have a name. It's colloquially known as the Smallpox Cemetery. And there's some very, very sort of unique history behind that. Back in the mid-19th century, there was a outbreak of smallpox in Provincetown, Massachusetts. Now, Provincetown is on Cape Cod, if you're not familiar with geography. So Provincetown, you notice that Cape Cod in Massachusetts looks like an arm. So it's Provincetown is right at the tip of the Lower Cape. And this seafaring town had an outbreak of smallpox. I think it was 1859 or thereabouts, mid 19th century. And while there was a vaccine available for smallpox, it wasn't really widespread, too widely known. And so conventional thinking was that it's like, oh, we need to get these people who are sick, we need to get them as far away from the population as possible. So there was this house where on this plot of land, the house is no longer there, but they would take these smallpox victims to this particular person's house. And it was called the sick house, where they'd never recovered. There was basically just like early American hospice, for lack of a better term. But the caretaker or caretakers would try to ease their discomfort and pain as they eventually passed away. And there were 13 of these individuals, and the caretakers would bury them, and they would bury them in these unmarked graves that all they had were just numbers, 1 to 13 or 14. And that's where that was their final burying place. And to get to this little spit of land, it's a slightly challenging venture because it's not off any road. It's not like you just pull off the side of the road. There's a good article on the website Atlas Obscura about this particular cemetery, and it's like, to get to this place, you have to know exactly where to pull over on Route 6, which is the main road that runs through Provincetown. You have to know exactly where to pull over, and then you have to walk for about 10 minutes on what is basically unmarked trail. And using, like, local landmarks to get there. And after some bushwhacking, you find just, like, this small clearing where you find these, a number of these still remaining small stone monuments just sticking up out of the ground. Very, very sort of surreal moment to look at this. And so I took some pictures. I'm gonna have to turn up my lighting here on my webcam. Make it a little brighter in here. There we go. That's better. Okay. So I'm gonna get started by editing this image. And this was shot on film. This was 35 millimeter black and white film. Using my standard Ilford Delta 400, which I then developed. It's not a bad curves layer to start with. But yes, this is what we're starting off with tonight. It's going to be a variety night. We've got some film stuff, we've got some studio stuff, some cosplay, photography. And I will be doing some giveaways during the raid train when the rest of the group gets here, so... I may be in need of a snack. My first thought was coming in here and seeing that was Popsicle. Oh, and a good evening to you. Good evening to you, Malice. You see this gravestone and you think Popsicle. Do you want to snack on some flesh? Oh, I think I need to convert this first. Hold on. Yeah, convert, because right now it's... Yeah. There we go. That's better. I plead the fifth. That might be smart. All things considered. Although you might want to get some food, because I know that at some point between now and 8 o'clock, I will be presented with food because it is dinner time. And so the off-screen spouse may make an appearance. Loud. So I do recommend you get food before my spouse comes in here and presents me with a Philly cheesesteak. I don't want you, I don't know, the envy over here. But yes, we are in the pre-stage here before the train gets in. Before the Art Amtrak gets in here. Actually, before I do brightness contrast, see if I can get away with a gradient. So I'd like to gradient that a little bit. That's a bit much, but I'll turn down the opacity. There we go. Oh, no. Okay, no. No, undo move. Still learning how to use this program. I'm using Affinity Photo. Hello, Icarus. Good evening. Welcome on in. We're starting off tonight before the train gets here working on some dead things. Dead things, your favorite. Now we'll do curves, a bright contrast adjustment. There we go. That's much better. Because I want to make the background a bit darker so that the foreground and the center here can just go right there in your focus. And not thinking about flesh popsicles. No. Absolutely not, Malice. Mum's the word. Just, nothing. Nothing about flesh popsicles. And certainly not anything about zombie moose either. None of that. Right out. Yes. Actually, Icarus, no. I am wearing Mr. Monopoly. No jail for me. In fact, I go directly to go. Ha ha! I found a loophole! About 15 minutes away from when the onslaught gets here. I'm letting you guys know before the train gets here that there will be some giveaways happening. I will be giving away some stickers. They're the same stickers that my patrons got. So if you are one of my patrons and you just got these, you will not be able to enter those giveaways. So I'll be doing that 3 times. Oh, what was I doing? What was I doing? Oh, yes. I know what I was doing. I was getting close to finishing this one, so the next is going to be Dust and Scratches, of which there's not many. Yeah, there's some, but not a whole lot. Nothing that a good few dabs with a clone stamp won't fix. You know, once I remember where it is, as I slowly get more and more familiar with this program. It is the clone brush tool, yep. Ah, need to be on layer 2. That's why. There we go. That makes sense. And since our background is blurry, this won't actually matter. I don't need to worry about going too crazy with the clone tool. Ah, digital stippling, everyone. But if you are out there watching me right now, thank you so much for spending some of your Saturday evening, well, evening on the East Coast anyway, with me as we get ready for the Art Amtrak to pull in for this month's Artist Back Alley Raid Train event. About 10, 12 minutes from now, everyone who's currently on Smashed Heads stream will pile their way into my corner of the world. Every time you bring that up, it makes me want to try my hand at traditional stippling again. I mean, if it brings you joy, go right ahead. I hated, as I've often said, I hated, that was like the part I hated the most when I did traditional darkroom photography and had the finished print, was taking very, very thin paintbrushes with varying dilutions of India ink and just with that same sound effect. Just trying to get rid of the very obvious dust and scratches. I mean, I could be handling my negatives with lint-free gloves and nitrile gloves for the prints, and there'd be like, because you don't really develop prints in a dust-free environment. It's just impossible. Are you dust or you schmutz on my monitor? You're schmutz. All right. There we are. Dust or schmutz? Choose wisely. All right, I think we've got a good print right there of the poor soul that was buried for the poor soul that was buried here in an unmarked grave in the smallpox cemetery in P-Town, Massachusetts. Doing stippling for that sounds like a pain, especially as a correction tool. Yeah, but I used to be decent at for shading drawings. I'd like to revisit as I haven't done it since in high school. Yeah, I had to do a couple of stipple drawings as part of my Drawing 2 class in college, my intermediate drawing. Although I will say, the Micron pens that I needed to use for that were pretty nice. And then I never used them again. All right. So, and now for something completely different. We'll do you in a bit. Not you. You. You're next. Oh god, I love my microns. I use them for all my traditional inking and have since I was 14. I mean, they're good. They're good pens. They're good pens. I just, like, all my drawing stuff went right, by the way, as soon as I finished all of my drawing electives. Thank you for the host, Cascadia. Welcome on in. So as soon as I did all my drawing electives, that was it. I'm like, that's it. Never doing that again. Over, done, finished. Enjoy the hosty toasty. All right, I'll enjoy your toasty. Because, I mean, as you know, Icarus, like, of my entire fine arts education in college, drawing was the worst. I did the worst. That was the one I liked the least. I was far more interested in printmaking and woodcuts and painting. And obviously, you know, what I got the degree in, photography, but I found I was much, much better with a camera than I was with a pencil. And that's fine. That's, you know, to each their own. All right, let's set our black and white points here. Black is actually pretty good. Printmaking is a super slog for me. I mean, no, because we're drawing, printmaking, and jewelry making. Didn't have the option for jewelry making in college. We did have clay sculpture. We actually did have a kiln on campus. So much work for a print at the end that looks like butt I didn't end up making anything of worth. I mean, again, that's fair. All right. Yeah, if I bring the white, yeah, that we get way too blown out at that point. Oh, I did it in high school, but my school was a fine and performing arts magnet school. Just about there on the white, I think. Yeah. Just we want to make sure we have some clear highlights in there. Still, the only thing I miss about college was the access to the studio space. All right, let's go hue saturation now. I don't think this is going to need much of a desat, to be brutally honest. Like, even 25% is too much. 15, I think, is just about there. Let me see what that looks like off. Yeah, 15% is pretty good. Everything else, I'm going to stay the same. Yeah. Camaraderie is good. Yes, indeed. I'll be doing studio shoots again now that I'm fully vaccinated. So, like, mid-June, I'm hoping to start getting people in the studio again. And, oh, it's been a year. It has been a year since my last studio shoot. And I've done other work in the meantime, but I've done other photography work in the meantime, but I do love studio photography so much. Yes, I now have the 5G. So, warning, just a courtesy out there in the chat. The raid alert is going to be pretty loud. It's the super hypersonic theme from the Genesis when you get, when you become super hypersonic. So that's going to play. So in about 2 to 3 minutes, just fair warning. I'm going to extend the courtesy. All right, we've done our basic adjustments, so next will be, yep, you're very welcome. That's loud noises will be happening very soon, so. All right, let's start our gradients. I'm pretty sleepy. Okay. I guess 70%, I think. Yeah. I've been working too hard. Oh, get all the sleep. Get all the sleep. My day off, I'm mostly horizontal. I get that. I get that. Okay. I think I would like to do a gradient in the upper corner as well. So let's dupe. A 50% gradient, I think, would be good here. Yeah. Yeah, that's nice. That is nice. Thank you, Icarus. All right. Oh, here they come. Here they come. The Art Amtrak has rolled into my corner of the world. Welcome on in, everyone. Thank you, Smashed Head. Thank you so much. Hopefully you had an enjoyable rest of your stream. Had an enjoyable rest of your stream there. Thank you for coming on in. Welcome. Thank you for the follow, Silent Speaker. Yes, you have come into photography land. So I am Eroivis. I am known professionally as Brian J. French, and I am a professional photographer when I'm not, at my day job or video gaming, and so that's what I do. Photography land is one of my favorite places. Hello, Sean, Bell, Professor Birch, Estrella, Kitsu Guardian. Thank you. That's great. This is looking rad, dude. Yes, so I'm a professional photographer. I do a whole bunch of different photography. Hello, Keeman. Polyester Kit, thank you for the follow. You see a sample of my work down there in the lower right corner. This is my safe for work stuff. I do also a lot of nude studio photography as well. Obviously, I can't share that on Twitch because nipples will start World War III or something. But if you would like to see all of my work, the link, the aggregate, so my Instagram, Vero, Redbubble, Patreon, my own website, you can see all of my images. Just type in !art and it will pull up the link to my card page. Gives you all those links there. Yep, that. And like once a month, I stream on a smaller streaming platform called Picardo. That is where I do my not safe for work art. So all the stuff that you won't be able to see on Twitch. But no. So what I worked on just before you guys arrived, this was an image that I had taken a few years ago in Provincetown, Massachusetts. This is a 35 millimeter film image at a sort of long forgotten, sort of forlorn cemetery that's off the beaten path that you can't really access by road. It's known locally as the Smallpox Cemetery, and here lie buried 13 or 14 individuals who fell ill during the smallpox epidemic in Provincetown. Thank you for the host, Smashed Head. Welcome on in. So a smallpox cemetery in like the mid-19th century. There was an epidemic in Provincetown, Massachusetts, which is on the tip of Cape Cod. And, these 13 it was decided that these people who had been infected with the pox, should be taken as far away from the public as possible. So they were taken to this what was called the sick house, and there was a caretaker there, and who basically cared for them until they died. It was basically like what you'd consider hospice care today. And when they passed away, this caretaker buried them outside this sick house. So the house is no longer there, but the plot of land is. And the off-screen spouse just presented me with dinner. Thank you! Little Chook, thank you for the host. So the house is no longer there, but the plot of land is. And there are these are the 13 or 14 headstones, very much like this, just basically lined up in an almost straight line, and all they have is just a number. So about 5-10 years ago, in the main historical cemetery in Provincetown, a couple of miles away, there is a plaque that is sort of a memorial plaque to these 13 or 14 individuals who died of smallpox in the mid-19th century in Provincetown. So I'm going to be occasionally eating in front of you. I hope you don't mind, but it is the dinner hour here on the East Coast, so I'll be stuffing my face. Thank you, Creative Jenny, for the host. But before I continue working on some stuff, If you saw me on the last Artist Back Alley raid trade, I developed film. I developed black and white film for you. Pardon me. If you did not see me doing an art stream after that, I eat one potato and my throat just goes crazy, apparently. If you did not see me do an art stream after I developed that roll of film, that's fine. I'm going to show you what developed for those that were curious. So the roll of film that I had I developed didn't try for me, so I'm going to head out, and it was nice to meet you. Thank you, Silent Speaker. Thank you for dropping by. What am I eating this time? Always making me... Yeah, it wasn't like pierogies like last time. But no, this was the roll of film that I developed on the last raid train. Was shot mostly in a used bookstore that's about 10-15 minutes up the road from me. So I'll show you what we got in case you didn't catch it. Again, this is a bookstore in Saratoga Springs, New York called Lyrical Ballad, and it's built in what used to be an old bank. So there's a lot of rooms, and this just goes on seemingly forever. So I'll just make this a bit bigger for y'all. Let me just quickly hide the slideshow in the black here. There were 16 images on this roll. This is medium format film, which is bigger. There's more negative than a 35 millimeter. Let's quickly go through this for y'all. Books, yes. And while I'm going through, I'm just... Alright. All the old books. That's the original. That's the unedited. As is that. A Philly cheesesteak sub, Estrella. Unedited. Just some graffiti near the bookstore. A couple of errors I made because I was way too close. Some more graffiti in and about Saratoga. The Adelphi, one of the older hotels in town. And there we are. That's those are the 16. That was on the roll that I developed on last month's raid train. You're very, very welcome, Cascadia. What was I working on? That one! One last bit of business. A fork. Suddenly the off-screen spouse just appears with a fork. All right. Thank you! One last bit of business. I will be starting, actually, in a couple of minutes. I'm going to be doing a couple of giveaways. My patrons on my Patreon got these, and since I still have a whole bunch of these left, I'll do 3 giveaways. I'll be because we all like stickers. I made some stickers featuring some of my photography. So the winners of the giveaways are going to get 2 sheets of stickers. This first one is going to contain some images featuring some death's heads that I've taken in old Puritan cemeteries in New England. And the second sheet will have contains images from some of my studio cosplay photography. So I know. I got a star sticker on his stream, and I felt like I was in elementary school again. But in a few minutes, I will start the giveaway, and I'll be giving away each of these. I'll be giving 3 sets away. So I'll let you know when I start that. I'll do that after I finish doing some more work on this. So we've done some edits. I've added some gradients. I've desaturated the image a bit. And so that is going to be my base edit. Something else I like to do, especially for these images, is I like to do a black and white version, which we'll do right now. And the program that I'm using is not Adobe Photoshop. This is a program called Affinity Photo, which so far, really liking it. All right. Like, I've been wanting to try to get off Adobe for a while now. Like, I'm not a huge fan of the subscription model of their programs, and more recently, they've decided that they're going to go basically all in on the NFT nonsense. I don't know how many of you out there are familiar enough with it. So I'm like, you know what? I don't want to give you money anymore, Adobe. See what I'm doing here. I'm readjusting my white point here on the curves. There we are. And then the last thing I'll do for the black and white is I will do selective color on the black to see if I can... Composition of the photo is... Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Estrella. So now let's see if we can make those blacks a bit richer. They don't need much. Selective color, both in Photoshop and Affinity, you don't need much. It's if you go too far, I mean, you can make for some really high or low contrasty stuff. Or, you know, you can make your image look like a Dalek just shot it. But I always like to make the darks a bit darker, usually 5%. Well, what did I miss? We were talking about stickers. Yes, I said I'm going to be doing a giveaway, a couple of giveaways pretty soon. I'm going to be giving away some stickers that feature some of my photography on it. The first being a set of death's heads that I've taken from Puritan cemeteries in New England, and this, which features images from some of my cosplay studio work. That is something I typically do with all of my models, all of my nude work, all of my safe for work stuff. I do not do any sort of retouching on the body at all. So every scar, every pimple, every freckle. Thank you for the follow, Bill. every scar, every pimple, every bit of cellulite, it all stays there. I don't get rid of it. Otherwise, why would I take the image? One of my biggest inspirations, my biggest photography inspirations, you might not have known it, but Leonard Nimoy was a professional photographer when he was not being Mr. Spock. And he did a project called the Full Body Project. He went to California and he did a photo shoot of a whole series of work featuring burlesque dancers. And the images are so gorgeous. You can Google it. It's very easy to find. It's good. It's called The Full Body Project. And there was a book made about this particular series of work. And it was just so wonderful to see larger women, larger figures being wonderfully represented and respected in this series of work. It's amazing. Also great for, just to look at, and if you want to do figure studies, it's awesome stuff. All right. So let's get the giveaway started. So, you're gonna see it pop up in the chat. Remember, I'm gonna be doing giveaways. Everyone who wins is gonna get a set of one of each. I'm gonna be doing 3 of them. So, when I start the giveaway, you'll have half an hour, and you'll enter the command in the chat. It's gonna be !death, because why the hell not? Because death. So let's get that started right now. There it is. So 30 minutes from now, we'll do the giveaway. All right. So we'll save this. It's my black and white edit. And the last thing I like to do with something like this, especially when the regular version has some color in it, I like to do what's called a selective color edit. And we do that by, where's my marquee? There we are. Freehand, and let's make this magnetic. Let's zoom in. Of course I want stickers, yes. Thank you, Parasite Eve soundtrack. Nice of you to join me. We're just making a rough outline right now. We will refine this in a bit. Okay. All right. So that's what we have as a base. Now go in and start refining. Stickers! I love the story you told, Smashed Head, about how you came to acquired. Why is there a raffle for stickers? Very simple. Because these went to my patrons as a thank you for giving me their support for 2 years. This is my 2-year patron thank you. My 2-year Patreon thank you. And I still have a bunch of them left. Because I don't have very many patrons. I only have 12 right now. So, and I got 50 of each one. Because that was the lowest quantity I could get. So, like, here, I want to give these away. Share them amongst you people. Congrats on 12 patrons. Okay. Yes. Also, I love the fact that, Live Jets, I love that you ask me, why am I doing this raffle after you've entered it? It was like you heard free shit and your ears perked up. 12 is major. Oh, I'm not cheapening that fact at all. I'm very glad that there's at least that many people who are willing to throw money at me and support my art. So I mean, every penny that I make, both on Patreon and on Twitch, goes toward keeping me making art. So it'll either go to like buying film or buying chemicals, or like it all goes back into my art. So thank you so much. All right, now we're going to fine-tune this. So let's get off the layer. Actually, there was a step I forgot to do first. That's refine my edges. Oh. So thankful I have any at all. Keeps me from rotting in a gutter. Oh, Cascada, you asked me how long I was doing photography. I saw that back up the chat. I've been doing photography since high school. So, senior year of high school, that was 2003. That's how long I've been doing this. So almost 20 years. Shouldn't have done that. That's what I... Okay. Thank you. That's what I wanted. And I'm sure most of us who are artists in the chat know how expensive art supplies is. Luckily, film and chemicals are still pretty cheap. Is there a subject that you find hard to photograph? And what do you love about photography? Oh, I'm getting surveyed. To answer the first question, I think the outdoor photography is probably my most challenging bit, because unlike a studio where you have full control over your lights, unlike a studio where you have full control over everything, once you're outside, all you have is the sun. And you can't really control the sun. And you have to work with what you've got. Because unlike our brains and eyes, which have rods and cones in them and can automatically adjust with your pupil, automatically adjust for brightness, contrast, color. A camera doesn't have that. So whatever it's receiving is anything that goes through the lens. So there are ways that you can control that, but like with this image here, which I'll edit in a little bit, what you find happening, especially if you're shooting in a bright day, you get a lot of intense color saturation. A very gray, cloudy day is an outdoor photographer's best friend, because that is when you have much better color accuracy. The sun oversaturates everything, which is why this image, there's a very heavy green cast, as opposed to, say, something like that, where it's a cloudy day and there's no major cast or major saturation of any one particular color. Overcast is night. Yes. So anytime you're working with color, whether it's painting, illustrating, gray is your friend. So what do I love about photography? At its basic root, it makes me happy. And I've never really sort of given in to the whole, you must be, the whole starving artist mantra, where you have to be like miserable and suffering in order to enjoy art. It makes me happy. And it allows me to make compositionally the things I want to create, which I would have a much harder time doing in a medium like drawing. Because I am a sucker for crispness, for sharpness. And soft light things. I mean, if you're familiar with the paintings of Vermeer, how he really employed the use of soft light. That and Caravaggio, I think, was it Caravaggio, whose claim to fame was a lot of chiaroscuro? Was it Caravaggio? I'll have to look that up. Good evening, Rosie, and welcome, welcome. I mean, I firmly believe that whatever creative medium you do, photography, illustration, painting, printmaking, sculpting, writing, performing, making music, any creative endeavor, at its core, I think, but first and foremost, you should enjoy it. Because if you don't, it's going to show in your work. If you don't like what you do, it's going to show. So how much time left do we have on the giveaway? A little under 18 minutes. So if you're just late joining me, I'm going to be doing some giveaways. I'll be giving away the stickers that I gave to my patrons because I've got a bunch of them and I want to give them away. I'll be giving 3 sets of those away. If any of my patrons are in the chat, you are unfortunately exempt for them because you just got them in the mail. So you'll be exempt for those. So, but if you want to enter, you type in !death, and the giveaways will happen in about 17 or so minutes. And photography is still a baby. What's the most weird or awkward thing that's happened with photography? Someone, one of my best friends, accidentally got a concussion during a shoot. I was doing a nude shoot, and it was the idea of the models. I had there were two women, 2 excellent friends of mine, 2 of my best friends. And we were doing a thing where one suggested that, basically to jump on their shoulders and sort of do like a piggyback thing. Because I was taking images for a Pieces of grid. And, somebody lost their balance, and the studio that I was shooting in, it was our studio in college. The person on the bottom broke the fall, and I'm glad it happened because otherwise, that's a concrete floor in that studio in college. So hitting soft, fleshy boobs first before hitting the floor, really, really prevented that from being very nasty. But still enough to have a mild concussion. Because breasts are multifunctional, you see. They're not just for the male gaze. Luckily, everyone was okay in the end. But that was probably the most weird/awkward thing that happened. There was an idea suggested by my best friend that ended up backfiring. My Pieces of series. All right. As I talk with a mouthful of Philly cheese. So the Pieces of series came out of an assignment in my color photography class in college back in 2013. There we are. Selective color. And the assignment is one of the grids per body or many body. That depends on the grid. I can actually show you the only one that is safe for work, because all the other ones that I did have offending bits. So let me just pull the safe one up. Excellent, excellent. Now then, a very brief hiccup there. All right. I wanted to open up a new tab in Firefox, and it said, screw you and such. All right. Let's bring you all back over here. All right. So this was the very first pieces of grid that I made. And this came out of an assignment in my color photography class, where the assignment was we had to make a grid. So it had to be in this format, but we had to convey motion using very little color. Like, I think you were only allowed to use like 2 colors maximum. So it had to be largely the same. And so I decided, all right, well, let's put the body and let's put some fabric with it to sort of, and using this grid framework, we just make motion with it. And that spawned a series that is continued all through this day. This particular grid used 1 person. But as I go on and I make more of them, I start incorporating 2, 3, 4. I think the last one I did like a month ago, I think there's 6 separate people in there. So all right. And I just love, and the models that I use, they're all people I know. They're all friends of mine. They're all different body types. Some are thinner, some are larger, all have different complexions, and that is kind of what drew me. Like, because everyone's skin is different, and I can always find something unique to show. Because it's one thing to look at just a regular still image of a nude figure. You know, we've all seen them. It's just like, okay, nude body, move on. But then you take the body and then you break it up into 4-inch by 4-inch squares, and then your brain goes, huh. So, all right. I said I was going to edit this one. Speaking of outdoor photography, this is from a cosplay shoot back in last September. The last one I did. Just under 9 minutes until the giveaway. Out of context, this would sound. Out of context. I mean, as a photographer, it comes with the territory. You have to be very careful. A lot of things could be taken out of context. I mean, we're artists. You have to be a little weird. All right. So as I was saying, it's a little tricky because, again, you can't control the sun. It's like my spouse is a writer, and I'm scared to know what's in their search history. It's like, no, no, no. I'm not, like, you sure you're not on some wanted list by the NSA? You gotta clarify. Photo shoot and photo capture. Yes, I am not engaging in human trafficking. All right. I want to capture shoot someone. Photography. What? No, they're not. They're not a mystery writer. A lot of sci-fi and a lot of speculative fiction. What was I doing? Curves adjustment. Yes, that's what I was doing. Curves adjustment. That's not a bad curve. I could probably darken the blacks a little. No, actually, you know what? I'll leave curves as is. Curves as is for now. I'm definitely doing a hue saturation adjustment. Jesus, there's a lot of green here. This is another friend of mine. She really, really likes to LARP. So let's tone down by about 15% overall. And let's get that green down. Let's get that green down quite a bit. Oh, it's probably going to be more on the yellow side. There's not a lot of pure green in here. Let's try yellow. Yep, that was it. Let's go 30. Now we can bring that back up to normal. So it's like already just from this, you can see how, suffice to say that you have some messages you're trying to convey in your photography about the beauty of skin and all body types. I appreciate that. I try, and thank you very much for noticing that. So someone who's an amateur photographer, what tools do you use in editing and how do they work? All right. Well, since this is all digital, the first step I do in any image, whether I'm in Photoshop or Affinity Photo, because they're both very similar in what they do, I always make a copy of the background because I consider the background layer, and you see this little lock here, that's always going to be the case for the first layer, which means I don't want to edit that layer because that is, for all intents and purposes, that is my negative. Don't touch the negative. By making a copy of that background layer, I should actually label this background copy, like I know what I'm doing. Then you can do all of your work on top of that without destroying your negative. Because I still think in terms of film, because that's how I learned. That's how I learned how to shoot, was through film, and I still shoot a lot of film. So it's like, don't touch don't touch the source. Make a copy of the source and work from that. The next step I do is something called a curves adjustment, which allows me to adjust the black and the white point. So if I adjust my black slider, it makes it darker. If I adjust my white slider, we're adding more white to the image. And usually I try to get them so that they hit at the start of each curve. This one doesn't really need it. So Photoshop Affinity, that's a lot of this is going to be the best way that I learned how to use these programs. Yeah, can you take care of that, Winged? It appears that I'm becoming famous. We've got a bot. What was I saying? Oh yeah. So a lot of how I learned how to use Photoshop was to really just go in and start digging around. That's not necessarily helpful so much, but it's like you learn things by digging around and you know, working with other, you know, I had the benefit of working with other classmates and I had professors. But when I was doing homework, it's just like, okay, what did I, oh yeah, all right. That did that. And other equipment that I have, I mean, I have got multiple cameras, but I started off with, for film, I started off with a Canon Rebel, and that was my first digital camera as well, was the Canon Rebel. Those are excellent, excellent starter cameras. All right, the giveaway is done. So, let's see how many people I got entered here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people have entered. I don't know why it told me you could no longer enter the raffle, but that was weird. I don't know why Streamlabs decided to lock you out at that point, but whatever. One of which I haven't so far, it's been really good to learn with. Yeah, the Rebel is a no-frills basic starting camera, which I really, really enjoy. Now we're adding some gradients, because I want to start drawing my attention to the subject and not necessarily all this background that we've got. So, and by doing gradients, you can do that. You can achieve that effect. Because you're sort of, if this was film, if this was a darkroom, this would kind of be like, it's called dodging and burning. This would be burning, but you're making specific areas of the image darker. It's a little bit more complicated to do these gradients in Affinity than it is in Photoshop, but not overbearingly so. So if you start to notice, Winged, I'm making the background area a bit darker and trying to bring more of the lighter area more focused on the subject as opposed to what's going on behind her. But I also don't want to lose that as well. This hour flying by so fast. Well, I know, since, you know, there's a good chunk of today that was spent with those who got lucky and got hour-and-a-half long streams. So they lucked out, and well done to them. And I'll do a couple more. All right. I only have 7 minutes left before we bring it on over to Shadoof Doodles. So let's do the giveaways. Because we got 8 people, so we are going to minimize you, bring you back up. All right. We're going to break out the Wheel of Names because I like doing a spinny wheel as opposed to just letting Streamlabs pick. Load up the wheel. So 3 of you are going to win. So I'm going back and forth here. Sean, Smashed Head. All right. To the 8 of you who have entered this giveaway, good luck. So we'll see who the first one is. Here we go. The first one that gets the set is Wing 41. You'll have to send me your mailing address. Streamlabs is a clean wheel you can add over your stream too. I did not know that, Sean. Thank you. I'll know that for next time. Thank you so much. Jot these down. Wing 41 gets the first one. Now let's get you the hell out of there. All right, with the remaining 7. Live Deaths gets the second one. All right, down to 6. Who gets the last? Yes, you can, Winged. Oh, it crossed right into Malice. Right at the end there. Malice. So Winged 41, Live Deaths, and Malice. You are the winners of the stickers. So please send me your address. If I don't already have it, I know I've got... I do have Wing there. Oh, I thought it was going to stop on Cascadia Studio, but Malice was the winner there. Send me your addresses, please. You won something, yes. And thank all of you for stopping by. I have so much fun doing Artist Back Alley. I love doing photography streams, and I'll be doing another art stream on Tuesday evening at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll be working on some more images, some of the images that I didn't get to edit. So, again, and also thank you to Little Chook and Steph, and everyone behind the scenes of Artist Back Alley who make these raid trains run smoothly. So, with that, I've got a couple minutes left, but we're going to be getting ready to move to Shadoof Doodles, and then followed by Teal Teacup, Creative Jenny, Scrub Fiend, and Miss Merrimack makes to round out today. So again, thank you all so much for stopping by. I love doing this. I love sharing it with you guys. Hopefully I will see some of you again on Tuesday for my art stream. But yes, thank you, Winged. I also do video games as well. Mondays and Friday nights, 7:30 p.m. Eastern as well. So Right now, I've been playing Resident Evil in celebration of the 25th anniversary of Resident Evil. I've already played through the PlayStation games. I'm on Code Veronica now. So Monday will be a video game stream. Tuesday, more photography. Friday, video games. So thank you for the questions. Thank you for asking and picking my brain about what I do, because I love it. I'm hoping that as Artist Back Alley gets bigger and stronger and we take over Twitch, that we get some more photographers coming on in, because we need one of us. So all right, we are just about at 8 o'clock, so let's get y'all set up for Shadoof. Let me just make sure I spell that properly. Thank you. Let's see. Make sure I spell that properly. Yes, good. And as I always say at the end of my streams, stay healthy, stay safe, wear a fucking mask, please. I know, swears, but I feel very strongly about that. And if you are able to get your COVID vaccine, please do so. I just did earlier this week. I've got the 5G. I will see you later. Thank you so much for stopping by. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the train.